no matter what AI looks like now or what it looks like in 20 years, I don't think the human element is going to be able to replace that.
All right, so your question for ChatGPT was, how can I give away my wealth to my kids when I die without paying taxes? And ChatGPT came back with a lot of the different techniques that people use to reduce their taxes. That it was very accurate, except it got some of the numbers wrong. So for example, you're allowed to give anybody you know every year $18,000 a year tax-free. ChatGPT said it was $17,000, so it was correct that you can do that, but it wasn't the correct amount. Same thing with the lifetime exemption we talked about. That's almost $14 million. It used the amount from 2023. But it mentions that, yes, you can make a gift of that before the tax laws changes, and you can use trusts like we described for the benefit of spouse. It also lists other things like charitable giving and things like that. So ChatGPT gave a great summary of what's possible, but obviously there's a lot more depth into actually executing on these things. So it more or less just gave you a summary of the various things that you could consider.
Okay, so a common question clients ask us when they first come in or when we first meet them is, do I need a trust? What would your answer be?
The typical lawyer, it depends.
That's always right.
I think it really does depend.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we some people it's just not appropriate for.
What does it depend on? What factors come into play?
What state they live in.
That's true.
So as we're a probate-friendly state.
Some states are very not probate-friendly.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're a probate-friendly state. Although we've seen instances where it's not so friendly.
Yeah.
And it takes a while, and it's so the state,
just the convenience.
Yeah, the convenience of it.
We talked about that a little bit.
Right. I think for some people who maybe potentially are single, don't have kids that they would be setting any trust up for that would outlast them potentially, or when the kids turn a certain age, and also they don't own property outside of Georgia.
Yeah, because you don't want to go through probate in 2 states.
Right.
And a trust avoids that.
Exactly. If it's funded.
If it's funded.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think, just a straightforward, and we do get those occasionally, and it's just overkill to give them another document. So it depends. But I think generally for most of our clients, and that it's recommended. I rarely just recommend a will these days, unless it is just a very, what we call a simple will.
No, it's a very helpful document.
Yeah.
If you want to do trust for your children, if you want to own property in more than one state, if you want to just skip the 6 to 9 month waiting period of probate, just to make everything faster and easier on the people you leave behind. So it depends. That's what a lawyer would answer. Now let's see what ChatGPT said. Their conclusion says, while a trust can offer numerous advantages, it is not a one-size-fits-all solution. To determine if a trust is right for you, consider your estate planning goals, the complexity of your estate, your family needs, and then it says, consulting with a estate planning attorney can help you understand your options and create a plan tailored for your specific situation. So I think that's a pretty good answer from ChatGPT.
I think that's
And we didn't tell it to say that.
Right.
It just said
nice that it kicked it back to us.
Yeah.
The thing that I also realize about AI, because it is something I think about for our profession, but then also if my kids, what are they going to be doing? We talk about this.
Yeah.
What is AI going to take over, and what are their opportunities? The thing of what we do is counsel clients and sit across the table from them, and if estate planning can be upsetting, probate can be upsetting. Passing someone a Kleenex. I've visited people on hospital beds and consoled people, right? And no matter what AI looks like now or what it looks like in 20 years, I don't think the human element is going to be able to replace that.
So we asked ChatGPT to create a checklist for us of the steps to take when creating a new business with a friend, as I assume partners. And it describes initial planning as defining the business idea and goals, which is a great idea, determining the roles and responsibilities of each partner, also excellent, and that can be within the operation of the business and also can deal with the legal rights associated with the business, which I don't see mentioned here. Deciding on a name, critical to decide the name. In Georgia, if it's a Georgia business, we would review the Georgia Secretary of State website to make sure that that name is available. And there are advantages to forming in Georgia versus forming in other states that I would like to review. I don't see that here either. And then on the business side, conducting market research and feasibility studies. Usually by the time a set of partners have decided to form the business, they're well on their way to determining the viability of the business before they call us. But excellent must-haves for sure on the planning side. It shifts then to legal structure, so choosing the type of partnership. Here it's listed as partnerships only, which is a certain type of legal entity. We might consider other avenues, like a limited liability company is very, very common, which has some certain protections for the owners that a partnership doesn't offer.
Yeah, that's something they would want to discuss with you before.
Absolutely.
committing.
Yeah, deciding on the legal entity is one of the critical decisions as far as protecting the rights and
Tax
shielding
implications.
tax implications and liability shield implications for the owners, critical at that stage. Registering the partnership, or I'll add LLC or company or corporation into the mix here. That's something that we do regularly as a matter of course. Obtaining necessary business licenses and permits, I'm glad that that's included here, also necessary, and then applying for an EIN. Great. So all those things are necessary, and I'd add a couple things to the list. One is the FinCEN filing. Now that the Corporate Transparency Act is law, to the extent that it remains law, that's something that needs to happen within the first 90 days. And also, often, after you create a business, you want to go open a bank account. Banks will require the EIN, which is listed here. They'll require proof of the ownership of the business, which often is in the form of an operating agreement, and then also the articles of incorporation or organization of the business according to the Secretary of State's office. With those three things, you can often go to open a bank account, which is one of the first steps that a business often wants to handle. It is included in the financial planning section of opening a bank account. It doesn't mention what you need to do that, but it is here. That's good. Drafting an agreement. So some great questions asked here about what to consider when drafting a partnership agreement, what the contributions are to the business at the outset, how the profits and losses will be distributed, decision making. So as mentioned earlier, who has managerial rights to the operation of the business from a legal perspective is often a critical component. We get questions later in the game often, can I force the business to do this or that, or I don't like this particular direction that the business is taking, what rights do I have? And the earlier in the process that those ideas are directed by the principals, the better. And that's something that we would engage with very early in the planning. How do we add a partner or withdraw a partner? That's good that that's included here. Buyout agreements are mentioned. I think all told, this is a decent checklist. Satisfactory as to as to what to consider when drafting the agreement, as far as achieving it in a way that is not vague and ensures that the goals will be met. An attorney, I think, would be critical still at this phase of ChatGPT's development. Although perhaps a subsequent question as to, please draft for me, this type of provision for dispute resolution mechanisms that, ensures that my rights are protected and my partner's rights are protected, and that their level, perhaps ChatGPT could do that now. So, the question is...
We still need you for now.
For now, perhaps, to at least connect between these bullet points and, their nested subsidiary questions that'll end up becoming provisions in an operating agreement or in a partnership agreement.